Hey guys, good morning. Today I've got Seafarer again today by Zingari Man. It's a vegan base that they have. I don't think it's their most current one. And so we're going to do it again. I shaved with it 2 days ago. But I posted an observation that I made. This is the razor I used, the Rex Ambassador. And I posted that this contact area right here was significant and I was experiencing some drag, and I believe that was because of the moisturizing parts of the soap, of the lather, that they were causing kind of an oily feel and an over moisturized sensation and surface on my skin, and that was causing the drag. A really slick soap doesn't cause drag, but if it's got all these moisturizing butters and oils, and oil on your skin that's soaked in a little bit can cause some drag. And some guys online responded back and said, hey, you probably didn't water it enough. Now, I water soaps a lot usually, and so that's odd that they would say that, but it could be true. So you know what we're going to do today? Same soap, everything the same brush, same razor. And we're going to change the blade because that doesn't matter too much in terms of drag. And I'm going to use just as much soap as I did the other day, which was 1/4 teaspoon. And at that time, I used 3 teaspoons of water to complete the lather. And so it's good when you're a shave nerd like me and I write down all these things, because I can easily go back and reproduce a shave to a pretty close degree. You know, there's still variation sometimes. I have found that to be true for sure. But even using the same brush, and one thing about the if you load with a brush, then sometimes you can pick up, even if you load in the same for the same number of seconds, you know, you can still pick up more or less soap sometimes. But this, since we're dealing with an objective, measured, you know, amount of soap, hopefully that'll be reduced. Now I'm going to add extra water, and we'll just see if I get a slicker lather that doesn't have that same amount of drag, because other people were saying they used that soap base and didn't have any problems at all with drag. Now, I am just talking about drag with maybe 1 or 2 razors. This one has a good contact patch, and so does the Blackbird. It's got that kind of flat side where a lot of it touches. And yesterday I used the same razor with Fine Accoutrements soap. Doesn't have very many moisturizers, and it was just slick. It was terrific. And so that's what led me to the conclusion I posted yesterday, was because I tried a heavy moisturizing soap, and then I tried the Fine, and there was a marked difference in the drag. We will try a new razor blade in this one today. I often will try the 7 o'clock black from Gillette on a new razor, because sometimes it really does well for me. This one hadn't been used too many times, 8. And I think we will turn this one into a marathon blade, so I'll show you, just in case you are in the future looking back and wondering, can he really have shaved with this blade that many times? One of my, maybe a secret, is I never touch the edges of the blade. I always hold it by the tabs. It's a little tricky with this razor because the ends of the top cap cover up the tabs, but I'm sure I'll be fine. The rails there on the top cap help to keep it exactly centered and aligned. Yesterday I used the Yesterday I used the 1.5 setting. I believe I used the 2, or maybe 2.5 the day before. Let's just put it on the 2. That should be close enough to get the same drag feel. Can't remember exactly what I had it on. All right, now let's splash a little water on my face, kind of as appreciative little bit more growth than usual, a little bit more than 24 hours. And the brush we're going to use today is this hammer and chisel. Beautiful. 2 days ago I used it, B5 knot from Declaration. Shake most of the water out, as is my custom. Helps me to give you good objective water amounts instead of just saying I shook it twice and however much water is in my brush, that's how much I used. You know, that's not all that helpful to you if you don't have the same brush. All right. Love this B5 knot. Yeah, it's a good scent from Seafarer. Once in lather form, this scent is kind of light. It's definitely on the light side. It is in my range where I often don't appreciate it that much because it's just not as available during the shave. But I don't know, I just like the quality of this scent and just the nature of it. You know, last time I used it, that I did kind of put it in the realm of scents that I enjoy and soaps that I may even pick up one day. Okay, I used 3 teaspoons of water yesterday, so I'm going to put in 2 right now, kind of work it in, then we'll put in more in a minute. If you have ridges on the bottom of your bowl, these kind of have peaks to them. I generally prefer just a rounded edge. That's just my preference. But the Roger Quintero, the maker of this bowl, liked the more of a peak to it. And so I make sure that since I use a counterclockwise rotation, that I put the soap that I loaded onto the knot on the leeward side of those ridges to make sure that as I make this my usual rotation, the brush is definitely contacting and taking care of that lather. Do reverse directions sometimes. If you don't have a bowl that has ridges, some people glue coins on the bottom of their bowls to help with lather generation. Maybe it helps, but the kind of agitation that I want to do on my brush is due to the flexing of the bristles next to each other. I just feel like that's the most effective. I could be totally wrong. And so just some coins that are only a couple of millimeters wide on the bottom of your bowl aren't really going to cause a whole lot of flexing of the hairs, because as they flex, then they rub together. They rub against each other. And my theory is that that is the place where the lather's really worked on, where the lather is generated. All right, so now we have the same amount of soap and water as we did the first shave. I'm going to add a whole nother teaspoon of water. So now we've got 1 more teaspoon than 2 days ago. Now this does need to be mixed more. Even before I added the 4th teaspoon, it wasn't done. Probably still maybe a little soap on the bottom of the bowl to pick up, but maybe some, water in the brush that may need to be worked in. So it's definitely going to need a little bit more time just to get a good consistent mix. Yeah, it's just a nice, spicy, woody scent to me. That's what I kind of pick up. Well, the lather sure looks good. It doesn't look like it's over watered. Sometimes lathers look like this when they are perfectly hydrated. You see that big bulb shape there without too many waves and undulations. Ah, now look at that stretch, that long peak. The peak on in the bowl there that collapsed on itself. There's some things you can look for as you decide what kind of viscosity you like. I'm going to go even further and add more. Let's add another teaspoon, 5 teaspoons of water in this guy, because if I still get that same draggy feeling with this much water added into it, then I think that proves my point. But if I don't get that drag, then the other guys were right. I just hadn't watered my lather enough. The new vegan base that she has is really thirsty, and so that was definitely a concern that some people addressed. And then she's got an Seago, I think is what a new base that she has might be called. I don't know if that's the new tallow base or if that's her new vegan base. I think it's the new tallow base, but I could be wrong. Well, it looks amazing. It's got a sheen, doesn't really have any micro bubbles. I usually enjoy soaps more when they don't have that, though a lot of soaps perform fine even if they are a little bubbly. The tips are kind of small and collapsing on themselves. Tons. I mean, I've obviously got, look at that ribbon that came up and then collapsed. So I think this lather's wet enough. I don't think anybody's gonna fight me on that one. Who knows? Might even be too wet. All right, let's get my face moisturized with water. Instead of oils and butters. Let's hope it stays that way and I get a nice slick shave. The creaminess of the lather that I had 2 days ago with this soap made the brush act a lot nicer. I've lost a lot of lather in the middle here, and the backbone of this brush is starting to come through. So let's dip back in and get some more lather. Definitely had that happen before where wet and kind of thin, and if I had a brush that had a lot of density to it, there wasn't a lot of lather to help the brush bristles move around during that this kind of scrubby motion. See, like right now, there's plenty of lather on the brush, but it's just so wet that it's choosing kind of to fly off instead of staying around on the brush. Now the good news is that this kind of lather is still very good for shaving. Matter of fact, straight razor users often are trying to achieve something like this, sometimes even wetter than this. This is a tremendous base. This, even when it's got 2 more teaspoons of water than I used yesterday, and it is still doing fine. I mean, yeah, I had the one little chunk fling off, you know, and but still feels good on my face, feels creamy. So let's see if we get any kind of drag today. And we're trying out the new blade, the 7 o'clock black. A little bit of drag right now. I don't think as much as the other day, but I think I'll be able to feel it more after the first pass. Do it on, see how it feels in the second and third. So far this blade is really agreeing with this razor. Yeah, nice. Let's rinse. A very comfortable pass, that's for sure. A little bit of blade feel, but mostly just kind of nice, smooth cutting motion. Cutting feeling. So the lather the other day is definitely more luxurious. Felt creamier, you know, on my face. The brush felt a little nicer. And this one is wetter and messier. I usually don't like to go this wet. Just the constant problem of the lather flying off. I'll switch to painting. This is a really good lather, guys. How it can be so nice at a drier phase like I used it 2 days ago, and then also it feels just as good. I mean, it's a different way, obviously it feels different, but it feels good. It's working well. Still a little bit of drag, so I think my argument does have some merit. Maybe some of those guys were thinking that I meant all razors, and I really just meant some that had the, yeah, I'm definitely feeling some drag here. I didn't mean all razors, and I was trying to be specific and just say high drag razors like this one or the Blackbird. Be careful. I like to be careful around this area right here. It's where I can get some irritation. I haven't really figured out a super invincible way to shave that super comfortably yet. Often I just use a different razor. Meaning if a razor's causing me a big problem in that area, I'll reduce the, if it's adjustable, I'll reduce the setting. If it's not, I won't bring a second razor into my shave, is what I'm saying. I just opt for something else. Oh, hey, there's a little little stray hair right there. All right, third pass. All right, now I think here is where I feel a little bit more drag than the other passes, when, you know, pretty much all the hair has been trimmed nicely. And so there's less hair to provide any kind of glide enhancer. Scent is very faint, but I do smell it, and it does smell nice, nice woody scent. And some used came up on the Shave Bazaar on Reddit recently, and I don't think I'm interested in getting it. I think maybe I'll, you know, wait for something less expensive, or maybe just do a little bit more reading on the scents that she offers, since only two I've ever heard about were the Tribe and Seafarer here. The lather is so wet that I'm rinsing my razor more. Otherwise it'll just drip off onto my shirt. I'll bet right here when I'm doing that, I need to work on my angle. I bet my angle maybe has a little against the grain aspect to it right there. I bet I need to switch to something more like that right there. So I did not get as much drag as I did the other day, but I still get a noticeable amount, and I get much less when I use even a thicker version of something like Fine Accoutrements. And I would venture about any soap out there that's focused on being a soap and less about moisturizing. I bet I'm going to have that same kind of feel. This shave has been excellent. Wow, the cut right here. This may be the best blade for me in this razor. The 7 o'clock black from Gillette. How about that? Really close cut, and I don't believe that I did that reverse cross grain pass on my trouble spot, and it looks really good. I don't see any tips that need to be cut. I do have a little bit of irritation right there, but not a big deal. All right, let's rinse. So if you are trying to be a little bit more frugal, you want to get the most uses out of your soap, with the Zingari Man, you can definitely use less than a quarter teaspoon. I did 3 passes of lather, and I've still probably got 2 passes left, so you could back off a little bit on that soap. But it's a great looking lather, performs really well. To me, this base really does compete with the top tier bases. It really does. So it feels great with this Declaration B5. I did use 5 teaspoons, refilled it 3 times with a 2 teaspoon measure. So let's see if we stayed on setting number 2. Yep, we did, no problem there. I didn't really feel like I was nudging it, but it's always good to check, since this one doesn't have a click to tell you when you have moved it. Put that over there to clean up. Not too much of this soap. I do smell it a little bit, but it's very light, so not too much hangs around after the shave. See what I want to use for post-shave. Since I'm home here today and shaving in the morning, I want to use Stirling Executive Man. My wife likes that one. And it is a balm, and I guess I my skin does get bothered. Maybe I have a little bit of sensitive skin. If I wipe and apply a balm in an against the grain direction, I can get irritation, so that's why I put on my balm kind of with the grain. And it sometimes if you use a lot, it's nice because relatively a lot. It's nice because you get a lot of good product and moisturizing on your skin, but it also makes it easier to apply. If you put on barely enough, then you can have a tendency to rub your skin a little bit more with friction, possibly generating a little bit of irritation. Another thing you can do, splash a little bit of water on your face. That way you can use less balm and that water will help it to smooth around and not bother you. And it is a little bit of white, you know, after application, but that will disappear in just a few minutes. So Gillette 7 o'clock black, we've put our 9th dot on this little interior envelope. And then, since I'm not likely to shave with this blade tomorrow, package it up. Careful not to touch the edges because obviously safety reasons for yourself, but also it can hamper the fragile edges of the blade and cause problems for you in terms of shaving if you like to get your best shaves. At least that's my theory passed on by other folks. It sounds right to me. All right, we're all done cleaning up. I believe I proved my theory, but I got what they were saying because the drag was reduced somewhat, but it's still there. So in a way, both of us were right. And I'm also not saying that a lot of razors are going to exhibit this kind of drag. So many of them don't have this much metal touching your face. The top cap here, as well as this, see this whole face here is kind of flat. A lot of other razors, and unfortunately I don't have too many around here, a lot of other razors have this safety bar here will curl away, or especially if you use an open comb, that'll reduce drag. And there's just not as much contact with your skin there. So I just don't think those are going to have those kind of issues. But the Blackbird and this guy, oh, you know what, the Fine Marvel is another one that has kind of a flat surface on the shaving side, and so it may exhibit similar issues. So you can mitigate that a little bit by making sure you wet your lather as much as you can. But I think my point's valid if a person is shaving with one of these, let's call them high drag razors. If they're shaving with a high drag razor and they like a thicker lather, I think they're going to run into the problems that I mentioned about if that lather has moisturizing properties. Because right now my skin feels really good. I put on that Stirling balm, so I can't attribute that only to the soap now. I should have left it off for a little while. Anyway, I got a great close shave today. If you're experiencing drag issues, something to try is to switch to a harder soap that just doesn't have all those moisturizers, and save the moisturizers until after the shave, whether it's in a balm or something like that. All right, well, there we go. Good shave today for scientific purposes, but also in terms of comfort and the close shave that I got. Really happy with that all the way around. And it was good to enjoy that soap again, and to also demonstrate that it can take a lot of water, 2 more teaspoons than I had before, and it highly functional, comfortable soap. So she is clearly making some good quality stuff there at Zingari, man. All right, now, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and you take care.